Welcome back to our IELTS Speaking series. In the first two lessons, we learned useful vocabulary and phrasal verbs to use in the travel and holiday topic. Now it's time to connect everything with linking expressions. Let's take a look at our cue card. Describe a memorable holiday you had. When you answer, you don't want to sound like you're listing out ideas. Instead, we're going to learn linking expressions to connect events, add details, explain reasons, give examples, and wrap everything up. Let me show you how. We often use very simple expressions like first, next, or finally. They work, but if you only repeat these basic words, you won't achieve a higher score. In this video, we'll explore less common expressions that have the same function, but make your speaking sound more fluent and natural. Let's begin. Sequencing. When you want to arrange your ideas in order, you can try expressions like to begin with. At that point, as the trip went on, eventually. For example, to begin with, we set off early in the morning to follow our itinerary. As the trip went on, we checked in at an all-inclusive hotel and eventually got a chance to unwind. Adding information. When you want to add more details, you can use on top of that. Not only that, but another highlight was, for example, we loved eating out to try the local cuisine. On top of that, another highlight was looking around the old town for real cultural immersion. Explaining reasons. When you give reasons, you might normally say because, or the reason is that. But you can also use which is why, that's the reason why, this explains why. For example, the scenery was breathtaking, which is why that holiday stands out so clearly in my memory. Giving examples. When you want to give examples, try one clear example is, to give you an idea, like the time when, for example, to give you an idea, I tried out scuba diving for the first time on that trip and it was unforgettable. Concluding. When you wrap up your answer, try all things considered, looking back, when I think about it. For example, looking back, that holiday wasn't just relaxing, it helped me unwind and gave me memories I'll always treasure. Now let's put all of this together in a full part 2 answer, using the vocabulary and phrasal verbs from earlier videos and combining them with these linking expressions. To begin with, I'd like to talk about a holiday I took 2 years ago when I traveled to Bali with some friends. We set off early in the morning, and at that point, I was already excited because our itinerary was full of interesting activities. As the trip went on, we checked in at an all-inclusive resort near the beach, which meant we didn't have to worry about meals or extra costs. On top of that, another highlight was eating out almost every night to try the local cuisine. One day, we rented some bicycles and explored a small village off the beaten track. There, we got to experience some cultural activities. To give you an idea, I tried out traditional crafts and even bought a handmade souvenir from my friend. Looking back, that trip wasn't just enjoyable, it gave me memories I'll always treasure and reminded me how important it is to take a break and recharge. And that brings us to the end of this mini-series on IELTS Speaking Part 2. We built a strong foundation with travel vocabulary. Then we added phrasal verbs to describe actions and experiences. And in this video, we connected everything with linking expressions to create a fluent, well-structured answer. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next lesson.